Christine and Tim.
Christine, Safran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome back. I want to first off apologize for the delay. I think we had some really crazy technical difficulties, but we're now live and ready to go. So thank you so much for your patience. And without further ado, let's just get started. So today for Webinar Wednesday, we're going to talk about something that I think is really dear to my heart in terms of launching in a way that's very strategic with your personal brand before starting a business. And a lot of my network are actually entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs who are in the market, launching big, amazing companies, legacy companies that are making an imprint in the world. And a lot of times in the entrepreneurial space, we talk a lot about marketing, customer development, business development, everything that has to do with the business launch. But we forget at the end of the day, the founder experience, the founder capacity to be able to build a story and a brand around themselves as an individual to propel that business forward, even at the launch inception, is so important. And as someone who has built several businesses, several initiatives, I will tell you right now, having such a strong personal brand has really helped me in so many different ways be successful when it comes to launching businesses from scratch in any market that operates. So today, without further ado, we're going to talk about how to please launch properly. So don't launch your business until you do these three things with your personal brand. So by way of introduction, my name is Christine and Tim. I'm your host for weekly Webinar Wednesdays, where I come live every single week for about 30 minutes or less to share insights, strategies, and real insights that will help you to scale your business and personal brand online. I've been there before as a 3-time CEO. I've been along the journey. I've scaled and been able to accomplish so much in the past decade. So this is my gift to you to share with you what I've learned along the way, and hopefully it could be beneficial to your endeavors as an entrepreneur in this digital space. So let's get started. So one of the biggest things I kicked off with on this conversation is the fact that entrepreneurs need to really think critically about their launching strategy, especially in today's market where everything is about branding. And now people want to know the mission, the person behind businesses. And so if there's not real clarity on who you are and what you stand for, it makes it really difficult to have a successful business launch in today's marketplace. Many of you could comment on the DMs, comments on the chat, and give me your opinions, but it has shifted in terms of people's credibility, how they read people, how they engage with people. So today is going to be very practical and direct about really how to launch in the digital space by leveraging your personal brand. And I'm going to dive right in because, again, this is a short video, but I want to really get straight to the nitty gritty here because I really want to make sure that this new generation of entrepreneurs are consciously aware of the impact that their personal brand has when it comes to launching a business, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna dive right into is don't start with content, start with a position. And one thing that I see a lot of people do when they try and start a business, they start doing quotes and media and random videos, right? They do all these things on social media to really make themselves look like, this is going to be a big business. They invest in logos and website and all these different like marketed related expenses. But the content is not what's going to sell your business. The content is not going to convert people into, clients. What really most entrepreneurs should be building their brand by not posting just random content or picking a niche, which is what I think everyone is saying right now, but actually position themselves first as individuals before launching that business. So if you're launching, let's say a healthcare business, what is it about you individually that made you passionate about launching that healthcare business? What's your founder story? What's your journey, right? And you got to make sure that you position yourself in a way where you make all the competition obsolete, right? So instead of just saying, hey, I'm a business coach, right? You could say like, I help service providers build amazing empires from with zero ad space, only organic, right? That's a very unique proposition as opposed to just like, hey, I'm just another entrepreneur building a business in this industry space. Right. And to make that very clear, why content won't differentiate you is your positioning statement that's going to make you very clear to the market. If you have two people standing by side, right? One says, I help coaches grow. The other one says, I help part-time coaches build 10K month ecosystems around their personal brand story without reaching a big audience. Who do you want to listen to more? The person who is not just posting generally random content, is the person that's very clear on who they are and who they serve, right? So the first thing I always tell entrepreneurs is like, when you think about, first off, the campaign strategy for your business, what is the campaign strategy for you as an individual? How are you introducing yourself as an individual, as a founder in the market before you launch a business? So that could take maybe 30 days prior to you announcing the business. That could take, several weeks. But the point is that you are actively sharing with the market who you are and what you do, and why all of a sudden you're launching this business, because out of all the things that represents who you are as a person, maybe you're a bold leader, maybe you're in the tech space, maybe you're in the media space, and you decide to now start a media company. The narrative thread between you as an individual and your personal brand to the business should not only align but actually accelerate the growth and the excitement around that business launch. So that's the first thing. Don't start with content, start with a positioning statement. Okay. The second thing I want to say is you have to build hype before you launch. Now, this is really around pre-marketing, like how you get in buzz, how you, not so much so you can launch with a loud market. I think people think launch day is supposed to be, you being featured in the media, you getting interviews, you getting, thousands of users in one day. That's not what I mean. Sometimes people's launches are just 10 people. Okay. But no matter what the amount and what the visibility is on your launch day as a business owner, you got to set up some engagements and some conversations prior to that D-Day launch, okay? And again, positioning yourself as an expert, as an influencer, as someone who truly cares about the subject matter that propel you to launch the business in the first place is so important. So, and I want to take a step back and say, like, a powerful personal brand is not trying to seek attention, right? You're leveraging your personal brand to pre-sell, and really create a sales engine before your business even starts, right? You got to give people a reason, like, why should they buy from you specifically in your business? What is it about you? So to give you some tangible examples of how you could do this in the market, some people, and I've done this before, they do a series of pre-webinars talking about their founder story, why they built the business, like what they've seen in the market, problems that they want, that they're trying to tackle with that business. They have a series of virtual or in-person conversations that's rallying people to understand why they're passionate about starting this business. They're doing maybe a series of content, like, maybe a 3-part story, a newsletter series about, all the different things that they identify in the market before launching. You have countdown messages. I do this all the time. I have 30-day countdowns to when I'm launching a business and where I'm launching initiatives. I do this even for every event that I'm hosting, where I count down so people are visually, can you imagine, for 30 days, my entire network is seeing 14 days away, 7 days away, 3 days away, 2 days away from this big announcement launch of something that I'm doing that matters not only to me and my constituents, but what I want to share with the public. Countdown messages are really, really good. I'm just, having conversations and emails, so you're doing a series of conversations. And one perfect example of that, my first business Vendetti, I did an entire 60-day pre-launch campaign, sharing with people, asking people to share stories of them buying food or products from street markets around the world, right? So every day people were seeing with the same hashtag Vendetti stories of people engaging with street vendors, buying products, having a great time, learning about why. And I was humanizing these stories and saying, this is the reason why I'm about to in 30 days, in 14 days, in 7 days, because see these powerful stories that are gracing the internet. This is why this business is relevant. And I share my journey working with street vendors, my journey growing up from a family of street vendors along the way. So by the time I launched the business, I'm not only campaigning the business brand, I'm also campaigning my personal brand and my personal expertise in the street, informal street market economy. I'm pitching my personal expertise, understanding about street markets. I'm pitching my network, how I'm able to inspire people to share their stories, right? People start to build trust with me as an individual and as a founder. So by the time D-Day start, there's a lot of credibility and a lot of information that I'm gathering to further optimize my direction when it comes to marketing that business as I move forward from D-Day and beyond. So it's really important to do that. Another great example of this, because many of you guys know I've not only launched several businesses over the past couple of years, I've also launched multiple global initiatives with celebrities, Fortune 500 companies, government stakeholders. And one of the biggest initiatives I've launched in my career that's really personal and dear to my heart is launching Haiti Tech Summit in 2017. And that was probably one of the biggest media launches I've ever had in terms of a debut, where we had about 83 million social media views on the day of the first event. That was huge. We had the president of the country show up. There was so much to be said, right? So with that said, it was a great media launch, but along the journey, a lot of people didn't even know I was Haitian. A lot of people didn't even know my frustration about, how Haiti is represented in the media, the narrative framing, what it meant to be a Haitian diaspora, a Caribbean girl, born in New York, grew up in America, grew up in Haiti. Like all those stories about my connection to the initiative started popping up before I even launched Haiti Tech Summit. And so what happened was, people started to really get momentum and be emotionally invested in the journey. So by the time we announced Haiti Tech Summit, boom, not only did I build my credibility and my sincerity with the market, but people felt more connected to the Haiti Tech Summit brand as well, because by default, I gave them a window into my journey up until that point. So you definitely have to set that tone in that series for people to get excited and understand the mission behind why you're doing something. It's such a powerful thing to do when you're able to do that. And the last thing I will say, and this is probably a huge one, is I don't think people do this enough, because we live in a space where entrepreneurs used to be glorified, and people always took the easy route to launch, thinking that they could just throw ad spend at it and get eyeballs. Go back to the base and the kind of organic of launching in a way where you test things out, even in a small way. So the third thing I would say that you should do before you launch is to test the need of your product, service, or idea before going live. So what do I mean by that? So I have a major coaching company called the Brand Advisory Lab, where I get clients several times a year to be able to go on two cohort terms with me to do coaching for personal branding advisory and also a public speaking advisory. And when I first piloted this initiative, I tested with a small group of 5 people. I wasn't trying to go crazy. I wasn't trying to go mad. I tested with 5 people. So you test with a small group. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is you test with a certain time frame. I'm not, trying to onboard people one at a time throughout the year. I gave myself 30 days with those 5 people fully committed to really test things out internally with that group before going public. Once I learned from servicing that 5 people in 30 days, that's when I went to the public and was able to grow it. But all that time, I was having a timeline, 30 days before I launched, engaging with that group, then doing a pre-launch showing testimonials from what has happened in terms of the impact of coaching that small group in that time frame, then putting the results out there, having a D-Day. And from that, I was able to accelerate hype. Okay. So at the end of the day, the most important thing I would say is you can test privately. You could test in a small way. You could test in a very confined space, industry, group. But a lot of people don't test enough. They kind of just go D-Day and they're surprised that, they're not getting bells and whistles when they do launch. I don't want that for you. I want you to be very strategic with how you go live. So the third thing is please definitely test before you go live. At the end of the day, no matter what you do, whether you follow these 3 steps, which is 1, don't start with content, start with a positioning statement. 2, build the hype before you launch, not just around the business, but also around you as a founder, that founder journey. And 3, test before you go live by actually testing the product or service in a small way. The biggest thing I will say with your personal brand is give the market an offer. Okay, give the market an offer. You always need an offer. I realize there's a lot of people who test just to get eyeballs and subscribers or emails of people interested. Put it out there. Put something out there. Put an actual product offer out there and see if people bite. See how people respond. Because at the end of the day, your credibility starts with servicing people with a tangible product. An idea is not a product. A concept is not a product. An announcement is not a product. A product is a product, right? And so definitely get yourself out there and just announce something, right? And put yourself out to the market so people could get excited. So with that said, I'll conclude by saying that, look, I don't think enough entrepreneurs talk about how they leverage their personal brand to launch very profitable, strong global businesses, because a lot of times we focus so much on the business development side of launching and scaling. We don't look at how do we align and leverage our personal brands to not only accelerate growth, but accelerate credibility and trust. And in a market where trust and credibility is so rare, this is my strategic message to you. Do not launch any initiative, business, or endeavor without thinking about what is the strength of your personal brand. And I know personal branding can get very convoluted where people kind of overwhelm themselves, think that they need to build a website, logos, things. That's not what I'm talking about. In literally a week or less, you can have some really thought-provoking conversations with yourself about who you want to serve, what you want to give to the world, and why you want to do it. And the business that you launch is just one of the vehicles, and I say this all the time, one of the vehicles of achieving that mission that you want to serve to the world. And so with that, I want to wish you the best of luck. As many of you are launching a business, to comment on the chat and let me know what business you're launching. I would love to hear more from any of you guys so I could give you some insights on how to go live. So many people, when they don't know about how to leverage, they're not able to really monetize or grow and scale effectively. But your personal brand could be by far the best, if not the biggest, sole asset that you have to really make or break your business. So you might as well prepare it, chisel it, and manifest it into something that can really not only, again, build trust, but build value for you so that way you can position yourself as a successful entrepreneur from day one. I wish you guys all the best. If you want to learn more how to create an offer to go to market, I am hosting a live virtual workshop this weekend, actually, Thursday and Friday, tomorrow and Friday. So check the comments for more information about how to join that. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys next week for the next webinar on Wednesday, where I'll share with you more insights. But don't forget, don't launch your business until you do these 3 things with your personal brand. You won't regret it. All the best, Christine and Tim. Over and out. Bye, everyone.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipping scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge you.